What's going on, everybody? This is the Undisputed Champ Sports Podcast, and today we're doing our NXT UK review by popular demand. We finally get to do this. We're excited about this. I am your host, Preston, and I'm joined by my co-host, Thumbs Up Tommy. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? Happy Rusev Day once again. I have been clamoring for this, and let's
Yes,
get this
yes.
NXT UK review rolling.
Yes, shout out to the people from the UK. Hopefully you guys like our episodes. Now, he has the card,
Yes.
so I'm going to let you do what you do.
Right. Okay, so opening segment of the show, you see Pete Dunne come out,
Mm,
was after the events of NXT UK take over Blackpool, which was fucking phenomenal, by the way. I'm sorry that we didn't do
amazing.
a review on that show,
Hmm.
but it just got to the point where we didn't get a chance to do it right after, and then a week passed, and we're like, it's kind of like, people are probably thinking about what's going on now on the show, so it's probably not even worth it to talk about it. But yeah, it was a great show,
Great
and
show.
oh my God, I may just end up watching it again just for the hell of it. But yeah, so so Pete Dunne was talking about how they made history at Takeover Blackpool, and they most certainly did. Gallus, Wolfgang and the Coffee Brothers interrupt him,
Hmm.
and Joe Coffey is making his case about how nothing has changed. Like he's all, you may have won the battle, but that was just one battle. I don't care if I lose one battle because nothing's gonna change. I'm still gonna be, this is still my NXT and so on and so forth. And I would say this was a pretty good segment, at least between them, because at the same time, like you see, at least in my opinion, I mean, it wasn't like we saw much of a, what's it called, like a much of a large margin, but I feel like Joe Coffey's gotten better in his promos.
Yeah, I would say that too. I would say he's
He's
gotten
gotten a lot better.
a lot better. He had a lot more. I don't know what it is. It just seems like in just this show in total, and I'm not gonna get into any like spoilers or anything until you name them. But it just seems like after
hmm
Blackpool, it seemed like they just turned it up a notch. It
I
feels like
just feel like I just feel like he's gotten more comfortable in his own skin.
him and just everybody in NXT UK. It just seemed like the show itself just went up to a whole nother level for some reason. I don't know what happened,
hmm
but like the promo with Pete Dunne, I love the point where he was like, "Yo, a lot of things have changed here, but one thing haven't changed. I'm still the champion." I was like, "Oh shit,
Yeah,
he killed
Pete
him."
Dunne is that dude, man. I
He's that
love Pete
dude, man.
Dunne.
He's so great.
Uh, at the same time, I still want to be a coffee brother.
Yeah, I still want to be a coffee brother. And did you want to mention that part where what's the name came out? When Watcher came out?
Oh yeah, because that was part of it. Because
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that was part of
Gallus
it.
tried to, yeah, they tried to gang up on Pete, my boy Pete Dunne,
Hmm.
and then Walter comes out and saves him.
Hmm.
But as he's walking away, he's locking eyes with Pete Dunne, like, yo, don't think that we friends, yo. I
Hmm.
got my eyes on you. He's like, I ain't doing this just to be nice. You have something I want, and I'm coming to get it soon enough.
Oh man, I like Walter so much, man. He's like the best thing ever. And if this would have happened like on an American WWE, it would have been kind of like boring. But just because it's in that mystique of like the UK, and he's a person who doesn't say anything at all. He's like one of those guys who says a lot by not saying anything at all, and that's a very rare attribute to have. And he just seems
Mm.
so like devastating and scary because he doesn't say anything.
Like,
Like it's so scary.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I've heard the name Walter before, but I never seen him until Take Over Blackpool. But everything I've heard about him has always been good, so
Yeah,
I'm
he's great.
interested in seeing him.
He's great, and I love that coat, that lamb's wool on the collar, and
Oh
he
yeah,
just he just came in looking like a boss. Like he like I ain't even gotta say nothing. You already know what time it is, Pete Dunne. And Pete
he's
Dunne looked
like,
at the title
he's like, you already know who I am.
exactly, and Pete Dunne looked at the title, picked it up. It was like man, like he Walter is great, man.
Mm,
He's so great. Anybody with the name
man,
Walter, bro, is scary.
bro, I love Pete Dunne, but I think his days with that title are numbered now.
Yeah, I don't think they should have Walter talk either. They should keep him like this, and just
So he was like that on the indie scene as well. Like he never spoke.
no, he was talking. He
Oh,
wasn't
okay,
talking a lot
all
though.
right.
He was talking though.
But so basically, it's not that he doesn't talk at all. He's just a man of few words.
Yes, and they should keep him that way. That just makes him mysterious. That makes him a lot more scarier. You're like, what is he
That's
thinking? What is he
good.
gonna do
Yeah,
next?
makes him different.
It makes him different. It's amazing.
Especially when you got such outspoken guys like Joe Coffey. Like that's a complete
Yeah,
contrast.
yeah. Let his wrestling do the
And
talking.
Yeah, facts. And at the same time, there's something before we go any further on
Hmm.
this review. I wanted to say this, from the review that we didn't get to do for Takeover Blackpool, which is that I'm just happy to see how NXT UK is unfolding because when NXT, the original NXT first started,
Hmm.
I didn't even watch it. And it's not because I didn't care, it's just that I didn't even know it existed until they moved it to the network because it was purely on WWE.com.
Hmm.
I had no idea it existed until one of my boys told me about it and then that they were bringing it to the network. So then I started watching it around, I think, January. No, 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 excuse me. Yeah, it was probably like around yeah, yeah, it was probably like around March or something like that in 2014 because
Hmm.
it was like right after they launched the network. That's when I started getting familiarized with guys like Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, what's his name, Kevin Owens, and so on and so forth. Because that I didn't know that they were there.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know that the Shield and the Wyatt family came from NXT until I started watching and they started backtracking about how the Shield and the Wyatt family made their names there.
Hmm.
So for me to be able to see NXT UK from the start and see how it's developing, I feel like that's special because you know I wasn't able to be a part of NXT from the beginning, so being able to you know tune in to NXT UK from the beginning to me is great.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's exciting. You're seeing something brand new, and what makes it even more exciting is that UK crowd. They're so involved. Like it's theirs. They want to make sure
Hmm.
that WWE understands that they appreciate this. Like they even when they was talking when Joe Coffey was out there, they was like, "You tapped out. You tapped." Like they were going even on Takeover Blackpool. That crowd was going crazy.
Man,
Like
they
they was
were
like, "We want this to
insane.
stay. We want this to be our NXT. We love this, and it's amazing to
Hmm.
see that."
Bruh, for real. Facts, facts. But anyway, yeah, so Walter came out, he saved Pete Dunne, helped him out, and then he made that eye contact like, I'm coming for you. Don't get comfortable. Moving on to the next section, there was a couple of video segments, about after Takeover Blackpool, like, throughout the show, they had like a after the match interview with Toni Storm after she won the NXT UK Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Also, you had Mustache Mountain, make they had their post-match interview where they said that they were looking for a new opportunity, and that in turn ended up later on in the night setting up a match for next NXT UK, which is what's it called? Mustache Mountain versus the European Union, as I call them.
Hmm.
Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel. That's going to be a hard-hitting match.
It is.
I am so looking forward to that match. I cannot wait. And then moving on, so we had a women's division match. It was Nina Samuels versus Lana Austin. It wasn't anything too
Yeah,
noteworthy.
it was an okay
It was pretty
match.
standard TV match. It
Yeah,
was standard TV match. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, oh my God, this is the best match I've ever seen. Nina Samuels picked up the win with, I forgot what her finisher's called, but yeah. Oh, the prima donna. There you go. Yeah, that's what her finisher's called.
yeah,
But yeah, she picked up the win, and that's that.
yeah. They had some those drop kicks look pretty brutal. They just had some weird facts during commentating. Like I didn't I was kind of confused about. Like she had her first child when she was 18, and she has 3 kids now, and she was trying to push it through. And I appreciate that they added more information to it. I just was kind of
Hmm.
like, I don't know. I don't know if I needed
I'm
to
like,
know that.
you could have done that in a video package.
Yeah, I didn't want to know she had a kid at 18 years old and
Like
stuff.
they could have done like how they did with Eddie Dennis and done a video package.
Yeah, did something like that. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was just kind of weird to hear that.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I felt like it was a little excessive to even mention that during the match, but
Yeah,
whatever, it
yeah,
was done.
yeah. I agree.
And speaking of Eddie Dennis, he actually returned to action after taking that L to Bomber Dave Mastiff at Takeover Blackpool.
That boy was
He
going
returned to
crazy.
action. Oh, he was not in the mood,
He was not in
man.
the mood.
That was just that was just a massacre. He destroyed Jamie Ahmed. Like.
Like he was
Poor
ser-
guy never even stood a chance, man.
Oh my god, those feet to the face, those slams. This guy was like
Oh
displaying
my God.
every ounce of power that he had in his body. Like even the commentator said, he was like, maybe he sees Master's face on him, and I think that's really what,
Exactly.
like when the Water Boy, when he saw that the guy singing "Water Sucks," I think that's exactly what what Dennis was
Pretty
thinking.
much.
He tried to kill that guy. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, man. Like, oh my God. I couldn't help but feel sorry for the guy. Just Eddie Dennis was just destroying him.
Yeah, facts. And you put Eddie Dennis in a no DQ match again, like what,
Oh my
like come
God.
on, man. You trying to make
Bro,
the guy
Eddie
look.
Dennis in a match where he basically has a license to do whatever he wants, that's dangerous.
It's dangerous, man. Like why would they do that?
Man.
Why would they do that?
Facts. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this was the epitome of a squash match.
Yeah,
So I think we've talked enough about it.
yeah, facts.
Now we move on to the main event, which is the match that we were looking forward to at NXT Take UK Takeover Blackpool, which is the Irish Ace, Jordan Devlin, or Finn Balor Light, as I like to call him,
Finn Balor, like,
versus the Kiwi Buzzsaw, Travis Banks.
oh my god, this match was so great, man. This was an amazing match.
Man,
This is the match. This was okay. People gonna think I sound crazy, but so what? I'm sorry for those who listening. I hope I don't turn you off. I think this match was better than the match that Devlin had against Finn Balor. That's just for me personally. I felt like it was. Uh,
I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm as big of a Finn fan as anybody, but I feel like this match just showed out even more. And it's not a knock on what's his name? It's
okay.
not a knock on Finn by any means. I just feel like we've seen Finn so much over the last few years
Hmm.
that it's just like we already know what he can do. So it's not that he doesn't surprise us anymore. It's just that anything less than oh my God, what the hell did he just do is like kind of underwhelming, like by my standards for Finn.
Hmm.
And
I, mhm.
plus, I mean, I'm looking at our predictions for Takeover Blackpool. I had pegged Devlin and Banks to be the match of the night. Sadly, we didn't get to see that match, but
It was
I
a
think
match of the
that
night, but just not that night.
exactly like this just confirmed that had the match happened at Takeover Blackpool, it definitely would have stole the show.
This, oh my god, this show was so great. And like I said, I'm with you. Like I'm not saying that Finn Balor did anything wrong. I think the fact that because of what happened at Blackpool put so much fire as far as like the emotions behind this match. And this is a good
Hmm.
example of what I say after Blackpool was over. It seemed like that NXT took it up to another notch because one of the things I used to complain about NXT UK, which I didn't think was a terrible thing, but I was waiting for them to establish stories with these characters. And I think NXT UK has gotten to the point where they finally have a little bit of story under these characters, like right with the Devlin and and between those two, because what
Hmm.
happened at Blackpool and just seeing how crazy Banks was going, like it was
That's a fact.
it was he was going crazy in that match. Even like
Bro.
the Spanish fly to the outside, like I was like,
Oh my God.
what is going on here? This is not the NXT that was on 2 weeks ago, like or 3 weeks ago. What's going on? It was so good,
No,
man.
man. Oh,
So
and then
good.
the fact that they dropped it down to one episode a week now, even better.
Even better. And that's that one time I was cracking up that time that Jordan Devlin did the Spanish Fly again, and then Banks didn't he no sold it. And then Jordan Devlin, it was inside the ring, and Jordan Devlin turned around like, "Yo, what is going on?" And then that headbutt, oh my
Oh
god,
shit,
that made my
man.
jaw hurt. Like just seeing that
That
part of it.
was like the most brutal headbutt I've seen in a while. And I'm talking about after seeing Drew McIntyre hit dudes with headbutts.
Yeah, you see the both of their heads shake, like it looked devastating.
Ooh,
But
that hurt looking at it.
it just is, and I think it's finally gotten to this point, and I know I'm really talking to you about this, but it finally feels like that with this story that now we have Jordan Devlin and we're like, okay, he's the heel. I think before they had a story, he had to like do a whole bunch of things to try to convince us that he's the heel. Like, look, I'm a heel this
Hmm.
week. Look, I'm a heel this week. Now we're like, okay, we saw what you did to Travis Banks. You the person that we don't like. Like now we could just go on with a storyline and be normal with these characters.
Well, he's the person that WWE management would hope that we don't like, but just what's been going on lately, I've actually started to like Devlin even more as a wrestler.
Because he's a pretty good heel.
Exactly. And like I said, that's just for kicks. I call him Finn Balor light because he pretty much looks like a mirror image of Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Like I even made that meme like when it was Spider-Man and Spider-Man. That's like how I see Finn Balor and Jordan Devlin.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but at the same time, it's like I said, I feel like this is the closest that we'll ever see Fergal Devitt, aka Finn Balor, as a heel on the WWE umbrella because unless they pull the trigger on him and make him a heel, this is the closest we'll get because Jordan Devlin is basically the evil twin per se.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%, man. I don't know, man. If people are listening to this, if you guys have never seen NXT UK, at least watch this match, man. This match is, oh my god, it's like one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say it's just at this point, even though we're not even done with January, right now it's like one of my favorite matches of the year so far. This match is
Hmm.
ridiculously crazy. I didn't know like NXT UK before they used to have like these kind of slow matches, and you had to get these slow builds to try to get into the matches, kind of like the Mustache Mountain match at Blackpool. But this match
Hmm.
was like entertaining all the way through, bro. Like it was crazy.
Well, that and because before they actually had the match,
Yeah,
they had quite the build up.
they had the build up. Yeah.
It wasn't like they just got into a match. Like they let it grow.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. And now they can finally just go off like a rocket with all this stuff, with the stories,
Hmm.
even with Massive and Eddie Dennis, why he's doing what he's doing. That has a story now. This has a story now.
Hmm.
Everything has the young Grizzly. They all have stories now. So now it makes those belts and makes these characters mean a lot more than they used to. And I'm with you. I'm so glad we were able to watch this from the ground up and see what it's going to
Hmm.
develop into. And it looks like it's going to
Facts.
be something amazing. Like I can't
Bro, I
wait.
cannot wait. No, and then another thing is, I'm glad you mentioned young grizzled veterans because they actually had a segment, it was like a backstage interview after what's it called, Takeover Blackpool,
Yeah.
and basically they just had they just basically told Ramsey off like, oh, you're saying you want to interview us, but everybody's only talking about so and so. So you know what? No, we're gonna talk when we feel like it, basically, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just love the confident attitude because like I know I said that before I couldn't stand Zach Gibson, but he's starting
Liverpool
to
is number
grow on me.
one. You don't? Oh, you like
Yeah,
Liverpool number one now? Yes.
he's I said he's starting to grow on me.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Just don't fight it. It's gonna happen.
Oh man, but going back because we're kind of digressing here. So
Yes.
the match, as amazing as it was,
Hmm.
I like the finish. Like at first, I was bummed out about it, but I was like, you know what? Good, because this sets up for another match.
Another match.
Ended in a no contest via double countout.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little salty by that too, but I get it. I get it.
And I think they were still brawling at the end too. Like they
Yeah.
didn't stop.
Yeah.
So
It's
you know that this is a heated rivalry and it's gonna keep going.
oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like
Oh, I cannot wait.
Raw, take notes again, bro. Like what is going on? Like why can't you make
Vince.
these rivalries? Like this could have been how serious the Seth and Dean thing could have been. Like
Hmm.
you take these two
If
characters.
any, if anything, this could have been the light version of that because that should have been a lot more intense than it was.
It should have been way more intense than it was, and they screwed up, and that's why they had that anywhere falls match to try to make up for it. But it was too late. It's too late.
Falls count anywhere, but then they had to win in the ring.
Yeah, let's go back to the ring. Like
If anything, that should just be called a no DQ match because falls count anywhere. I'm thinking y'all gonna be fighting in the backstage area,
yeah,
catering,
yeah,
parking lot, the locker room,
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. That I don't know, bro. I'm promise you, if I'm fighting somebody like from the ring all the way outside, I'm not gonna have the energy to walk back to the ring. We pinning right there. it's,
Facts,
it's over.
facts. But yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps up this week's NXT UK, and I'm gonna go ahead and go first with the grading on this.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the main event, and I love uh, the video segments of interviews after Takeover Blackpool.
Hmm.
But being that we had I would say, mediocre women's match. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't that it was bad. It was nothing special about it.
Hmm.
And then we had the one great match, and then the squash match. Like don't get me wrong, I enjoy a good squash match every now and then, but yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those rare exceptions where I actually enjoyed the squash match, but still squash matches are like when back in grade school it would be something where you would still get points for it, but it would be like a reduced amount. Like instead of a whole point, you get like half a point.
Yeah.
That's how I view squash matches in pro wrestling. It's like not even it's not worth a whole point. It's more like a half a point, and that's only when it's a good squash match. When it's a trash squash match, because there are some trash ones, then that's like a quarter of a point. But yeah, so overall, I am going to rate NXT UK for January 23rd a B minus.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna. I agree with everything you said. I'm gonna rate it a B, maybe. Like I'm with you with the squash match thing, the mediocre women's match. I'm pretty sure that's kind of like a match to kind of introduce us to the ladies, but I'm not gonna give it an excuse just because of that. Like it
Hmm.
could have been a lot better, but it shows some light
Yeah.
of that. This is only gonna get better. So I'm
I mean,
happy about what I
it
see.
was more of an introduction for Lana Austin, I think, because
Yeah.
Nina Samuels, I think it was on the very first episode of NXT UK, she lost to Tony Storm, so Nina Samuels has been there for a little bit.
Okay. That's a
Yeah,
fact.
so
You're
it's
right about
more,
that. Yeah.
yeah, it was more of an introduction to, and the commentators mentioned it. Yeah, she lost to Tony Storm or something like that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot
you're right about
if
that.
if it wasn't the very first episode, it was one of the first ones.
You're right. You're right about that. Yeah, I didn't even think about it.
So, so you're sticking with a B. I'm sticking with a B minus.
Yeah, I'm sticking with a B because that match is at the end is so good, man, so good.
All right,
All right,
works. That works for me.
all right.
Uh,
So the person who commented on our YouTube channel, this is our NXT UK review. We finally got it for you. Look for more coming up in the next
mhm.
weeks. Thank God UK has went down to one episode per week because it makes this a lot easier than it did before.
Yes, yes, that's a fact.
All right, but this is Preston. That's Tommy. These are the Coffee Brothers. We signing off.
Peace.
Peace.